Just a quick one. My name's Ahmed Al-Zain. I work at the ANU, and I noticed a lot of the discussion is about how much are we spending and where we're spending it. And I'm sort of thinking, as a citizen of Canberra, how do I go about evaluating the efficiency of government? I mean, it's not just how much you spend and whether you're sort of what are we getting out of it, and how efficient the programs are being run. And government is a very large, complex organization. Is it even possible for citizens to begin to evaluate how efficient governments are utilizing our taxes?
Would you like to respond?
Log on, do a Google search on Nepal and gross domestic happiness. Nepal is one of the few countries in the world that has actually tackled that. They've developed some amazing algorithms where they work out how much happier or unhappier people are after each budget. The British government's doing it. Do a Google search on the New Economics Forum. It's a think tank in London who have worked out a formula to measure the well-being and happiness of every country in Europe. So they've gone beyond the economics, they've gone beyond the environment. They're saying, how do you as a person, how do we measure whether you're happier? Robert Kennedy actually, I'll paraphrase it because I can't remember quite. Robert Kennedy said this wonderful thing. He said, as a country we measure the barrels of oil that we produce and the square metres of timber that we cut down, the size of our smokestacks, the growth of our cities. He said, but the things that we value, the joy of our marriage, the play of our children, the laughter of our schools, the joy of poetry. And he said, we don't even attempt to measure the things that are the most important to us. And we've got to shift away from just straight economics. It's about measuring well-being. It's about whether at the end of 11 years of Labor, do you feel better off? At the end of 11 years of Liberal, do you feel better off? It's about how we actually go forward. But there are measures that it's happening.
You're making Nepal sound like a really great place to live. Ms. Hunter.
There are some measurements in that area already going on in the ACT. It's measuring our progress. There's a website. You can go through the ACT government portal, and there are a number of wellbeing sort of indicators that are being measured and measured over time. Can we enhance that and improve that? No doubt. But the work has been started, and certainly during our term we did put into the parliamentary agreement with Labor a series of new analysis and so forth that need to be done before big decisions are taken. So a triple bottom line analysis, which means that when you have a large decision to make, don't just look at the economics, also look at the environmental impact and look at the social impact, because you need those three things together to be clear as to whether a decision is the right one. So yes, there's more work to be done. Individual programs you'll find have been evaluated, but certainly measuring your progress is a step in the right direction to getting some of that measurement out there. Thank you very much. And do we have another question?
Yeah, my name is Yusuf. Now, can any politician or political party quantify what would be the right size of ACT government?
Do you mean as far as the Legislative Assembly or as far as the public service?
We hear time to time the smaller governments are good. It's qualitatively. I want to see what is the quantitative measure to address that question. How we quantify the size of the government?
No.
Can you quantify the size of the government?
When you say size of the government, do you mean the size of the assembly and number of MLAs, or you mean the population?
Most of the time when we talk is qualitative. We hardly talk quantitative. But my question is, when you talk about the government, the size and budget, can we quantify the size of the government? We need 100, 200, 2,000 employees, we need a decent service. Can you quantify that? Can you just quantify that and in a short term so everybody of us can understand?
When you're looking at the size of the ACT public service, so there are public servants, our people who work at the hospitals, and also in our schools, our teachers and so forth, it's around 20,000 ACT public servants. We have supported the last budget that will show, as Andrew was saying before, there will be a modest growth in jobs. Some will be reallocation of jobs, but it's around about 20,000 at the moment.
Is that the right size? My question was, is that
I
right?
think it's about right. Certainly it's then about whether you have new priorities and whether you then need to reallocate staff within that envelope. But I think it's about right.
And I see Brendan Smith nodding in agreement there. So we'll take our final...
It's about the right size. In regard to the Assembly, I think Tasmania's got one politician for every 2,800 people. The ACT's got one politician for about 14,000 people.
Yes, there has been some talk of maybe needing...
It's a very busy job. If you do it properly, what we've got is adequate, but I think over time we're going to
And just to follow up on that, when we had self-government's about 23 years old now, I believe, and so in the time, our population has increased by about 100,000 people, and so each year, basically, we are representing more and more people. We are the leanest Assembly or Parliament in Australia, and remember, we do all of the local council responsibilities along with state government. So not only do we collect the rubbish, but it is about running a justice system, a hospital system, an education system. So I think that we do need to start having that conversation in our community about the size of the Assembly. And an inquiry was held in this Assembly that has come out with recommendations about moving that forward, because we are going to have to increase it. We can't have 5 ministers with all those responsibilities.
So the second last question is now coming from a youngster. And why second last? Because last question is mine.
Stand up.